Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. You know, we have so many games to get to this weekend. And as you know, it's Friday. So Friday always means that we look at the schedule for TV. And that's what we're going to do in just a second. Matthew is en route. He is at a wedding today. Or this weekend, I should say. So he's going to join us post haste. But till that time, let's go over the football that we have to watch, both college and pro. All right, let's start with it. Let's start with tonight. There's an Ivy League game. That's at 7 o'clock on ESPNU. Eric Fetty, Jack Ford will be at Harvard in Boston as Cornell takes on Harvard. Meanwhile, in Denton, Texas, tonight at 7:30 on ESPN2 with Armin Asharf and Andre Ware. It'll be the number 24 University of South Carolina. University of South Florida, not Carolina. Bulls taking on the North Texas Mean Green. 7:30, as I said, ESPN Deuce. Armand Asharf, Andre Ware on the call. Big Ten at 9 o'clock on FS1. Noah Reed and Robert Smith on the call. It's Rutgers at Washington. And tonight we close out the action with Fresno State at Colorado State. That's a 9 o'clock kick as well. On the CBS Sports Network, Chris Lewis, Randy Cross on the call. A lot of USF fans, this North Texas team's good. South Florida's 4-1, and North Texas is 5-0 coming into this weekend's action. Let's get underway on noon on Saturday tomorrow. Alabama, ranked number 8 in the country, takes on Missouri, who is ranked number 14 in the country. That's an ABC game. That's, of course, Jesse Palmer and Joe Tessitore. The number 1 Ohio State Buckeyes visit Champaign, Illinois, where the number 17 Illinois team is ready to rock and roll with them. That is a game on Fox at noon. That's a big noon. That's Gus Johnson and Joe Klatt. Pittsburgh at Florida State. This could be a big win for Pitt if they can pull it off. Florida State needs to hang in there. They're right now right at the top at 25, man. They have no room for error. They have played some pretty sloppy football as of late. That's a noon game. That's on ESPN. Dave Pasch, Dusty Dvorak on the call. Louisiana versus James Madison. That's a noon game on the Deuce. Lo Galliano and Aaron Murray on the call. UCF. There you go. University of Central Florida at Cincinnati. That's a 12 o'clock noon game on FS1. Dan Haley, our buddy, and Pappas Patrodakis are basically flying from LA to Cincinnati. We have a MAC game at 12 on ESPNU. Toledo, and they face Bowling Green. So Toledo Bowling Green, MAC attack on noon, and should be an interesting game. They always are. The Toledo Bowling Green games are always very, very interesting. We have an ACC game at noon on the CW. Tommy Brenneman and Will Blockman on the call. Stanford visits Dallas to take on SMU. UCLA, which put it to Penn State last week, is on the road. They are at Michigan State. And so East Lansing will have that game. That's on noon on the Big Ten Network. Mark Folwell and Yogi Roth. Then Charlotte takes on the United States Military Academy. That game will be played at West Point. It'll be seen on CBSN. Mark Folwell and Dave Ryan and Adam Brenneman will be on the call for that game. So let's keep moving on. Let's go to Houston at Oklahoma State. That's a Big 12 game. That's on TNT. JB Long, Mike Golick Jr. on the call. Miami at Ohio. That game, Miami of Ohio at Akron. Noon, ESPN Plus. Michael Regai and Ryan Kavanaugh with the call. Washington State at Ole Miss. That's a Washington State from what's left of the Pac-12, and number 4 in the country, Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin's boys. That's a 12:45 kick. That's on the SEC network. Taylor Zazor and Mike Stishavam is the on the call. Northern Illinois, Eastern Michigan. That's 1 p.m. That's an ESPN Plus. That's Doug Sherman and Barrett Brooks. Massachusetts is Kent State. That's 2:30. That's also on ESPN Plus. Anthony Lima and Doc Holliday on that call. We have number 6, Oklahoma in Dallas to face Texas in the Red River rivalry, which is always one of the best. I mean, it's played at the Texas Fairgrounds in Dallas, and it's really one of those bucket list kind of things. Oklahoma and Texas traditionally are good. They're rivals. Oklahoma and Texas are rivals. And right now, Oklahoma at number 6 is kind of cruising along. Texas has had, its share of problems. They lost last week in Gainesville to a not that great, but game University of Florida team. So Oklahoma, Texas, that game being in Dallas, it's a 3:30 game. It's on ABC. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit. So clearly, that's the number 1 game at ESPN this week. Okay, so let's move on. This one has a very interesting possibility to it. Indiana, the number 7 team in the country, takes on number 3 Oregon. That's a 3:30 game. CBS, Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson on the call. What makes this interesting is that we're going to get to see just how good Indiana is. They're going to travel out to Oregon and play that game. And so number 7 versus number 3. A lot of people have been taking pot shots. This is the second year Indiana has been really good in a row, and that doesn't happen often in Indiana. Oregon has proven, they went into Penn State and beat them. So Oregon is battle tested. They are a national brand, not necessarily intimidated, and certainly not intimidated at their home stadium where Indiana's going to have to put up with a lot of noise. Okay, TCU, Kansas State, that's 3:30. That's on Fox. That would be Timmy Brando, our boy, and Devin Gardner on the call. Number 23, Iowa State at Colorado. That's a 3:30 game on ESPN. And that's Mike Monach and Louis Riddick on that call. Alabama State, Jackson State. That's a 3:30 game ESPNU. Northwestern at Penn State. That's a 3:30 game on FS1. Wake Forest at Oregon State on the CW. Connor Onion and Mike Hurlick on the call. Nebraska, Maryland. That's a 3:30 game on the Big 10 network. Yeah, Haberman and Jerry Butt on the call. Virginia Tech is at number 13, Georgia Tech. That's on the ACC network. West Durham and Steve Alizano on the call. North Carolina State visits the home of the Golden Dome. They're going to be taking the Notre Dame on 3:30. That's going to be on Peacock. Dan Hicks on the call, along with his buddy Jason Garrett. North Carolina, Appalachian State, Georgia State. That game's been played in Atlanta. That is in ESPN's Plus call. Let's move forward to the window, which is primetime. The primetime window begins with Texas A&M hosting the Florida Gators. Big game for both. Florida needs to get back on track. Texas A&M at the number 5 spot needs to continue to show people they're worthy of that number 5 position. And so, yeah, that's the big 7:00 game for a lot of SEC fans. Meanwhile, if you're a Big Ten fan, it's Iowa and Wisconsin. That's the 7:30 game. Excuse me, 7 p.m. game on FS1. Eric Collins, Spencer Tillman. San Jose State, Wyoming. That's on CBSN. That's also a 7:00 kick. Jordan Kent and Low Reagan on the call. Prime time in Auburn, Alabama. Number 10, Georgia comes visiting. Now, Georgia's always had trouble with Alabama. Not sure why, but they have had their issues. So Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy on that call. Kansas at Texas Tech. Texas Tech is your number 9 seeded team in the country at the moment in the polls. They have played incredibly good football. Kansas is capable of playing incredibly good football. We'll see how that works out. That's your primetime game on Fox. Jason Benedetti and RG3, Robert Griffin III, is on that call. Michigan, number 16 in the country, travels out to LA to play USC in the Coliseum out there. That's a 7:30 game. That's going to be seen nationally on NBC with Noah Eagle, Todd Blackledge. This one, actually, I'm going to go with this is the sleeper. This is a game. We talked about all the different games and all the important games that we've seen. This one, I think, has the potential of certainly being one of the more exciting ones. USC has been scoring like maniacs. They haven't, they've had a couple of stumbles, but Lincoln Riley has a good football team. Michigan has done what Michigan does. All right, they reload, they don't rebuild. They are, and this might be the helping of USC. They're not a team that scores a lot of points, but then again, they've got a good defense. So USC and Michigan, that's going to be a matchup that would have been a Rose Bowl type matchup back in the past. But that's 7:30 nationally seen on NBC with Noah Eagle and Todd Blackledge. Rice is at UTSA, so they're in San Antonio this week for a 7:30 get together on ESPNU. Purdue at Minnesota, that's on your Big Ten network. That's also a 7:30 start. Clemson at Boston College. How low have they fallen? It's been a tough year already for Dabo Swinney and Clemson. Boston College is not should let me qualify that. Boston College should not have much in the way of offense to put up against Clemson. That being said, anybody at this point seems to be able to beat Clemson. So they're going to have to right the ship there. South Carolina, LSU, that's a game at 7:30 also on the SEC network. LSU's trying to prove that they're better than they played. Coach Kelly and his team at LSU has had trouble in the past with South Carolina, but this one is at home and it's at night. So I think you got to give the edge to LSU there. BYU at Arizona. BYU is 18th in the country. Arizona is not ranked. That's an 8 o'clock game on ESPN2. Troy at Texas State. That's an 8:30 start. New Mexico Boise is a 9:45 start. Arizona State at Utah. Now, to me, the Arizona State-Utah game might very well be a very entertaining game because Arizona State just keeps playing good football. They're number 21 in the country. Utah, on the other hand, Utah has been disappointing, but there's no reason to count them out just yet. San Diego State and Nevada get together on CBS Sports Network. That's a 10:30 game. John Sadek and Taylor McHugh on the call. And for those of you way late, at midnight, Utah State and Hawaii. Game can be seen on your Mountain West digital channel or on Spectrum TV in Hawaii. So lots of action going on. All the good teams getting an opportunity to play this week. Nobody's off. It should be a fun time. So we hope that you enjoy the upcoming games on college this weekend. And let's take a quick look over to the NFL. Okay, we're moving on to the NFL. Lots of games there this weekend, of course. Let's start with last night. We saw the Giants beat up on Philadelphia. That wasn't something that was a surprise to myself or for Matt. We thought, frankly, that Philadelphia and the Giants would be able to make it work, and the Giants did. They ended up winning. All right, Sunday morning games. Denver is at the Jets. That game's being played in London. Rich Eisen, Kurt Warner on the call. The night game this week on Sunday night is Detroit at Kansas City. That's of course on NBC. Monday night has a doubleheader. We'll talk about that on Monday, but we'll just give you the heads up. It's Buffalo at Atlanta, and is Chicago at Washington, home of what last year was a miracle finish and big win. All right, here we go. Early window on CBS. Cleveland is at Pittsburgh Iron Eagle. J.J. Watt on the call. Chargers are in South Beach to play Miami. Andrew Cardellone, Charles Davis, Jason McCourty on the call. New England is at New Orleans this week. Spiro Ditas, Adam Marshalletta on the call. Those are all 1 o'clock starts. They're all on CBS. Let's move on to CBS late games. San Francisco. The Niners come to Tampa Bay to face the Buccaneers. Jim Nance, Tony Romo on the call. Big national television audience for that one. And so you know where to find that one. Cincinnati, Green Bay, Kevin Harlan, and Trent Green. Most of the central part of the country and northeast Midwest will be, say, from Pennsylvania over to North Dakota. That's your game. So we move on to Fox. Here's the Fox single games at the 1 o'clock hour. Rams are headed to Baltimore. Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady. It's interesting that Fox is putting their top guys on the Rams-Baltimore game. Baltimore, has been terrible lately. They got run over by Houston last week. They've been incredibly depleted. We don't expect to see Lamar Jackson back in the saddle at quarterback. And the Rams have to make up. They basically last week went out and got whacked by San Francisco and the Niners. It doesn't look good for them, and they need a bounce back game. It may seem crazy to say this, but Baltimore might be the team you want to learn to bounce back on. So even though the team is coming from the West Coast to the East Coast. All right, let's move on. Dallas is at Carolina. That's Adam Amin and Greg Olson, the number 2 team. Dallas has been playing well. Carolina has been playing well. They're not good, either team. All right, but they're beginning to find some stride. I don't know, what the future holds for either of these teams, but right now they face off against each other. Seattle travels cross country to face Jacksonville. Chris Myers and Mark Schlereth on that call. Seattle lost, of course, last week to Tampa Bay. Jacksonville pulled an upset. So, all things could be good in Duval. We'll find out. Arizona at Indianapolis. Kevin Kugler, Daryl Johnson are your broadcasters on the call there. Tennessee at Vegas. That is the late game. All right, the late game. Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma are on the call. So we have just gone through all of your needs and interests for this particular week when it comes to what to watch and where to watch it. We hope that you enjoyed it, and we will be back to see you on Monday. Baseball wise, tonight is pivotal game 5 between the Tigers and the Mariners. The game will be played in Seattle. And if you're looking to find out where you can watch it, well, that is easy enough said. You can easily watch that game on TBS. Okay, so TBS for that game, ESPN Radio, and that, my friends, is where we are for this weekend. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and we hope that you come back and join us soon.